Namaskar. Friends, today through Right Angle we will be discussing what is dissidence and what is defiance or disobedience. This question or this query about dissidence and disobedience is important because of what you see and read these days in pertaining to Indian and the politics. As you all know, the Parliament, the budget session, the second half of the budget session is on, but unfortunately, for the 3 or 4 consecutive days, nothing is happening, and both the houses are getting adjourned. And the people who are responsible for its adjournment are not realizing that their very actions in the process are costing the nation crores and crores of rupees, which are going west. They are actually committing, from that point of view, a big sin, I must say, because you'll be knowing perhaps that every hour of a parliament session, and when I'm talking of parliament session, every hour of a Lok Sabha session costs the national exchequer nearly 2 crores of rupees. So imagine Lok Sabha 1 hour 2 crores, Rajya Sabha 1 hour 2 crores. So in 1 hour nearly 4 crores of rupees you are literally burning, and nothing is happening. I'm not talking of the members of parliament, what your salaries are, what your perks are. You are there to go and discuss things, but then you are not allowing the parliament to function. And then in the process, you, some minority, are imposing your will on the majority. I think what struck me most yesterday was that Akali Dal's MP, I think the lady who was earlier a minister, she carried a placard saying that as a member of parliament I have got right to speak. Actually, these people who are causing these adjournments of the parliament are doing a great injustice to the people who really want to participate. I mean, when I'm talking of people, I mean the fellow colleagues, the members of parliament. So, what I'm trying to say is this: a group of minority, say 20 or 30 people, if you want, and in a very calculated manner, well planned manner, you ensure the adjournments of the houses, you are depriving hundreds and hundreds of MPs otherwise who are there as representatives of the people of India to speak, to deliberate on the things. What sort of democracy is this? And what moral right you have got to say that in India there is no respect for dissidents, and under the present setup, nothing is working. I think this is precisely what some of our quote unquote honorable members of parliament have tried to project, and one of their big leaders had gone abroad and spoken on this, and you all know his name. I need not go into it, but my point is that what sort of dissidence that is not being allowed, that these gentlemen are talking of, when they are depriving hundreds and hundreds of their colleagues. from participating in the parliament deliberations. So, the answer, I am quite sure, should be coming from you. Now, when one is talking of dissidence, I think we have got a rich history. I think we all Indians should be proud of our parliamentary democracy. After we got independence, our constitution came into force in 1950. That every government did realize the importance of dissidence, I think, except of course this inglorious interlude of the emergency. That's a different thing. But the fact remains, the opposition then, what it was doing, how it was playing its role. Because when I'm talking of parliamentary democracy, then both the government and opposition have got equal responsibility to ensure that democracy remains vibrant. And earlier also the opposition was there to the government of the day. But how they were expressing their dissidence? They are participating. They are giving wonderful speeches, and through that speech were pointing out the shortcomings of the government, or they were giving suggestions what should be done. And if after expressing their views, the government was not receptive to their ideas, there are two ways. Either they were walking out, or they were participating in the voting and were expecting that they will be exercising their democratic right to vote and register their protest. And that is a very, very exemplary way of playing the role of a very constructive opposition, that every democracy in any country should be very proud of, and we were proud of. But what precisely is happening these days? What role our opposition is playing? The opposition today, led by a particularly some opposition parties and one particular party, the Congress party, what it is precisely doing, that in the name of dissidence, what it wants to say is this, that either the government must agree with what we say, and if the government doesn't agree, then we will not let anything function properly. It is not a question of you participate, you speak, and then you vote and let the government. It's a question of you can't block the governance of the country as such. You put up your point of view, and the government should take some constructive criticism and will do the things, but as long as they have got the people's mandate to rule, you must not obstruct that particular thing. And if your suggestions are very healthy and very constructive, then obviously the people are the ultimate masters, and you all are accountable to the people of India. When you go next time, they will be voted out. This is what the democracy is all about. But here what is happening, every policy of the government is wrong. You have got a point of view, and if that point of view is not taken into account, then the government doesn't have the right to do anything or they exist. That means you are a defeated party, but you literally want to govern the country. Precisely this is what is happening. What Mr. Gandhi wants, that he has got a set of views, but unfortunately he doesn't have the public mandate. But despite being defeated and despite being in a very tiny number, your views still will prevail. And if your views are not prevailing, or what you are saying, the government is not doing that, then according to you, there is no dissidence and the government must be thrown away. Whether, now you are going even and asking international help, I am not going into that. What sort of dissidence is this? And this set of mentality is not only being reflected in the parliament, it is also being reflected in other democratic institutions that ironically the likes of Gandhi are saying have been compromised, have lost their efficacy. They are no longer independent, whether it is the election commission, whether it is, even judiciary. You know that there is a very fundamental and democratic, rule or system in every country. Suppose there is separation of power. There is executive, there is legislature, there is your judiciary. Suppose something goes wrong or somebody feels that things are not proper, according to our constitution, people can go to the court. And once the matter goes to the court, till the court does not take a view on it, discussions and debates on that are kept at hold. But these very people who are talking of the weakening of the constitutional authorities or positions in India do not really allow that thing also, in the sense that many issues they have picked up and then the matters has gone to the court, but they do not have even respect for the court to deliberate on those issues and give its opinion. Without waiting for that, they still continue that the parliament also will be discussing those issues, those matters which are there under the consideration for the judicial views or judicial pronouncements. I think this never happened before in this country. The Supreme, let's take up this Adani case, or let's take up this Rafale case even, for instance, in the past. The Supreme Court was considering that, but still you went on insisting there must be a JPC. अरे भाई, जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट के मैटर गया है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो सबके लिए है, and government is saying will abide by its ultimate directives. Then what are you going to चर्चा करो क्या? What you do inside? I mean, this is not done. The same thing is Adani. The Supreme Court is going to form a committee to discuss what are the loopholes, if there are any. I am particularly repeating this thing, and how things can improve so that the shareholders' interest will be always ensured as much as possible. And even there is SEBI, there is a particular organization which is dealing with this issue. And after that, and then during the first half of the parliament session, you really paralyzed its functioning. And the same thing, you are doing it in the second half of this budget session. Despite knowing it, the matter has already gone to the court. And there is going to be a committee, they will be discussing, they will be suggesting, SEBI will be giving its verdict also within a month, and you cannot wait for that. What sort of dissidence is this? Similarly, election commission, if you lose, there is absolutely constitutional authority, it has been compromised. But if you win, everything is fine. What sort of dissidence is this? You protest, peaceful protest is all right. But if any protest is going to stop something, and your right to protest is going to adversely affect the rights of others, as I said, this case, some few MPs, right to protest is adversely affecting the rights of hundreds and hundreds, of more MPs. Their, right to do their, duty for which they have been chosen by the people of India to represent them in the parliament. So what sort of dissidence is this? This is defiance. This is not dissidence. This is disobedience. Even Mahatma Gandhi and even our freedom fighters, they also respected the then prevailing rules of laws. Suppose Mahatma Gandhi, when he defied the law, he was getting arrested also. They were peaceful protesting, and if it really crossed a limit, they were being sent to jail. Actually, our protester who are doing all these things, they should be considering that it is a much more whatever you are talking of this in a particular regime or in the setup is so liberal and so kind-hearted that nothing is happening to you. Here, you go occupy road, block everything for months together in the name of the farmers. So actually they are not the farmers, they are the dalals. Or for that matter, non-existing issues like, we saw here in Delhi, from months and months together, but nothing happens to you. Who prevents, I think Rahul Gandhi gives speeches in the parliament for more than 2 hours. The other day, last time I saw during that president's address approval in Rajya Sabha, the Congress leader Mr. Kharge spoke nearly for 2 hours. Everybody listened. But when Prime Minister Modi started speaking, they didn't allow him. And throughout, they were creating scenes. What sort of dissidence is this? You have got only right. Others do not have the right. So there is a clear, then this is not dissidence. Whatever I say must be done. Whatever I say must be the law. Whatever I demand, the court must, agree with me. And if nothing happens, then the institutions are ruined. India is no longer a democracy. So this is not dissidence. This is called disobedience and dissidence. And I think the Modi government has been very, very lenient in dealing with this thing. But I think there is a limit to everything. There is a limit to everything. Now I think the laws of the land must come to the picture. They should be applied, whoever they may be, howsoever important they may. As long as, you are expressing your right of dissidence, fine. But as long as you are defying and you are not allowing the country to be governed, the law must take its course and these people should be suitably punished. I hope the presiding officers of both the houses in the parliament should really take actions against these unruly MPs. They must be barred for the entire session so that others, hundreds of other MPs will be deliberating, participating and doing things for which people have elected them. Thank you.